Hello everyone, this is Alaa, your English teacher. I hope every one of you is doing well and is safe. Unfortunately, because of the hard times we're going through, during this period we will be conducting our lessons online. I will record the lessons and I will send them to the group. Please just try to watch the videos. While watching, try to write down any questions that come to your mind while watching, and later ask me those questions so that I can clarify things for you. Also, I will be sending you some assignments. I will send them in PDF format. So please try to download the files, print them, do the tasks, and later send me photos of those tasks so that I can check them for you and tell you something about the mistakes they have committed and give you some feedback. Today we will continue our work on writing. If you remember, before we finished working on writing letters and emails. Although we will continue practicing those two types, which belong to the interactive type of writing, today we will be moving into the informative type of writing. So, what do we mean by informative type of writing? Let's see. Now, what is informative writing? Informative writing is used to increase knowledge, which means that when somebody reads my informative piece of writing, he will learn something, he will get some new ideas, some new information about something. So, as you can see, it provides information about a particular topic. Now, the informative writing uses formal style. Now, formal style, um, that's a bit different from the interactive writing. Now, and remember, in the interactive writing, most of the time we were writing letters and emails to friends, although sometimes we wrote to people we don't know, but mostly we're using informal style of writing. Now, in informative writing, we use formal style of English. And remember, we talked about that before. When we say formal style, it means there are no contractions, we don't use slang or everyday words that we use in our daily communication. Now, we will use words that you mostly find in like magazines, newspapers, scientific articles about a particular topic, and so on. Now, the informative writing does not include opinions. Um, what does that mean? If you remember, in the first semester, we used to have an opinion essay, a persuasive essay, and in that essay, the main purpose was to give my opinion about a particular issue and later defend that opinion and give some supporting reasons so that I can persuade the reader so that he can adopt the same opinion that I have. However, this time we don't include opinions. It's only going to be about facts. We only include facts in our writing. There will be no opinions. Moreover, the informative writing should provide information fully and clearly. You should provide full information about the topic that you are provided, and your information should be clear and easy to follow, easy to understand. Now, your writing should be coherent and should be well organized. Now, what do you mean by coherent? Your sentences should be strongly connected, and I will be telling you about that later on. How can we make our sentences connected, and what do we mean by cohesion or coherence? And your writing should be well organized. Now, mostly in the final exam, you will be asked to write a paragraph. So your paragraph, as we learned before, should look like a paragraph. The moment I look at it, I can see that this is a paragraph. It starts with the topic, sentence, and the following sentences are only supporting ideas and examples. Now, let's take a look at a sample informative writing, and this is the first type. Now, we will be focusing on two types of informative writing this time. This is the first one. This is taken from the final exam, or one of the final previous exams of grade 12. Now, you can see here that they are saying, write a paragraph about a bird called the snowy owl. use all the information in the box, your paragraph should be correct and well organized. Now, you can see that they said write a paragraph. This is the first thing that we should see. So how can I analyze this question? Um, you can see that here we have the clues provided. This is the first type. So clues provided, it means all of these pieces of information that they give here, these are things that we call clues. So here they gave you the clues. You are only going to follow those clues to write your paragraph. Now, first, I should ask myself, what am I going to write about? What are you as a student going to write about? Now you can see here that you are going to write about a bird. Now in other cases you might be asked to write about a person, or about a city, about a building, about a machine, about an animal. In any case that you are provided, you should be careful, because sometimes students, they don't pay attention to this, and as a result they end up using pronouns such as he or she while they are talking about an animal, or while they are talking about a city. So I should, right from the beginning, pay attention to this point and decide what am I going to write about here. For example, I'm going to write about a bird, so later on I can use a pronoun such as it, for example. If they say write about a person and they give me the name of the person, so I need to determine, am I going to write about a man, so maybe I can use he, or am I going to write about a woman, so I can use she. If they say write about a city, so also I can use it. So just pay attention to this, because this is something very important. Now the next thing is that I should notice the title. When you start your paragraph, try to write this title in the middle of the page. So here the title is the snowy owl. Also determine the tense to be used. Now, are you going to use the present tense or the past tense? Are they talking about, mostly we use the present, but maybe sometimes they will give you, if they're talking about a city here, for example, not about a bird, so maybe they will give you dates, like the city was built in 1943, for example. So in that case, you need to shift into the past tense. But generally, as long as you are talking about facts, what do you mean by facts again? I think you remember that. Facts are things that are always true. They were true in the past, they are true now, and they will continue to be true in the future. So as long as we are providing factual information, we are providing facts, in that case we are going to use the present tense. But other than that, if they use dates in the past, so in that case we use the past tense. So pay attention to the tenses that you are going to use. Now also, here you can see that they said write a paragraph. They didn't do the usual thing. Now what's the usual thing? Usually they say write, for example, just like in the email or in the opinion essay in the first semester. If you remember, they used to say write at least 100 words, if you remember. Now this time you can see that they didn't give you any word limit or word count. They didn't say write 100 words or 120, 150, 70. They didn't say anything about it. Now that means that they don't care about the number of words. What they care about is that you use all of the information. So here you can see that you have all of this information provided in the box. To achieve the task and to be successful in achieving the task of this question, you have to use all of the pieces of information in sentences. Whether you can use each piece of information in one sentence, you split it into two sentences, or you can join two pieces of information together and you make them one sentence. That's up to you. But what's important is that you should be using all of the pieces of information that they provide. Now let's try to take a look now at how can we actually do the informative writing if they give me the clues, like in the question that we were discussing earlier about the snowy owl. Now remember, the first thing that we need to do is that we should determine that I'm going to write about a bird. I'm sorry for any noises that you might hear, but my neighbor tends to be shouting most of the time. I don't know what's wrong with her. Anyways, So we said that we are going to write about a bird. So the name of the bird is the snowy owl. They said that here, and also they said it again once here. So they said write a paragraph about a bird called the snowy owl. So what is a good sentence that a good first sentence that I can write? I can take the first sentence from the question itself, and I can try to link it to the first piece of information that they provide. Something like what? I can say the snowy owl is a bird. What do they say here? They say the snowy owl, and it's a bird. So the snowy owl is a bird. Now, what do they say in the first piece of information? They said cold weather, thick feathers. What does that mean now? Most probably that means that this bird or this owl lives in cold weather, in places that are cold, and thick feathers, it means what? It means that it is covered with thick feathers, or it has thick feathers. How can I combine these two pieces of information to the title itself? I can say something like the snowy owl is a bird that lives in cold weather and has thick feathers, or and is covered with thick feathers. Now the second piece of information, they are saying male pure white, female white and brown. What does that mean? Now here they are, I should ask myself that question. Male pure white, that means what? It means that male has a pure white color, while the female is white and brown. So what can I say? Now you can see that I finished the first sentence with a full stop. Now I move to the second piece of information. So I can say the male owl, or the male bird, no problem about that. So the male owl has pure white color, while the female is white and brown. And you see that again I finished with a full stop. Now the next piece of information, small mammals, rabbits, squirrels. So here they are giving me two other examples of mammals which are small, and the snowy owl is also small, so I think they belong to the same group. Now you can see here that I used a word, and this word is important to achieve the cohesion that we talked about a few minutes earlier. Remember, we said that our sentences should be strongly connected. So this word, moreover, this can help me connect sentences. So moreover, it is one of the small mammals such as rabbits and squirrels. See, so small mammals, rabbits, squirrels. So it is one of the small mammals such as rabbits and squirrels. Now we continue. Next we have largest owl species. So what can I say? I can say the snowy owl is the largest in the owl species. So it is the largest of its kind. Now winter migrate south, warmer weather. What does that mean? It means that this bird, what does it do? It migrate means travel. So it travels, it moves away in winter to the south. Why? Because the weather is warmer. This is the way you should be thinking in the exam. So you read the piece of information and you try to think about it. What are they trying to say here? And later you just change it into a complete sentence. So in winter it migrates. You can see here I'm saying it instead of saying the snowy owl. What is it? It is the snowy owl. I didn't say he or she, so be careful about this. So it migrates to the north. So here we have a mistake. So it migrates to the south where the weather is warmer. Now the next piece of information, excellent eyesight and hearing. So it has excellent eyesight and hearing. What? Hearing abilities. So sometimes you need to add words that are not there in the pieces of information. So don't think that you are just writing the words and changing them to sentences without adding anything new. Sometimes you need to add something new so that the sentence can make more sense. So here we added the word abilities. Next we have wait, opportunity, hunt. So what can I say? I can say it waits for its opportunity to hunt. Next, adult 3.5 kilograms. What does that mean? It means that the adult weighs 3.5 kilogram. Not the baby owl, no, the fully grown owl, the adult owl. So I can say the adult owl is 3.5 kilogram. Yellow eyes, black beak. So this bird has yellow eyes and black beak. It's easy, it's not difficult. So I can say it has yellow eyes and a black beak. Next, we can say all day, sit, trees, watch. What does it do? It sits on trees all the day and watches. So it sits on trees all day and watches. USA, Canada. Again, I need to link sentences, so I can use a word like furthermore. Remember the first time I used moreover. This time I'm using furthermore. So furthermore, um, um, sorry, before furthermore, here we said USA and Canada. So it mainly, basically, it mainly lives in USA and Canada. So catch fish and feed. So furthermore, to add new ideas, it can catch fish. You see, I used the word can. So it can catch fish by its feet or using its feet. Now the male select location, defend the nest. So the male selects the location where it can defend the nest. Next, pet carry messages. Now, of course, here the female build the nest. Sometimes they give you a few pieces of information that are not in order. So, for example, the female builds the nest should be before this, and in summer far north. Also, this should be used here when with the sentence where we said that it migrates. But anyway, we can just manage. So we can say the female builds the nest. So female build nest. The female builds. Remember this S of the present simple. The female it builds. The female builds the nest. Pet carry messages. What is a pet? A pet is an animal that we can keep at home, such as a cat or a fish or a dog. So it is sometimes used, or also we can say it is sometimes kept as a pet to carry messages, or used as a pet to carry messages. Now in summer, we have summer far north. So remember, winter south, summer far north, because of the weather changes. So in summer, it migrates to the far north. Now that was the first type, or the first type of the informative task. Now what about the second type, or task 2? Sometimes they might provide you with no clues at all. Like this question, they are saying write at least 100 words on the following topic. You see here, you can see no box of clues, no box of pieces of information. They're just asking you a question that's very straightforward. Just answer that question. What effect, for example, what effect does a man's climate have on how people live? So all of your writing should be trying to answer this question. They didn't give you any pieces of information to help you. Now, in the final exam, you might have this type of question. Okay, so in the final exam, you might have this type of question where they give you the pieces of information, or you might have this type of question where you have no pieces of information available. So you should be ready and prepared for any type of writing. Now, how can I answer this? To answer this, I need to start with a general topic sentence. So here they are saying, what effect does a man's climate have on how people live? So the first sentence that I should start with should be about Oman, about how good or how beautiful the weather in Oman is. Just a very general sentence. Next, I need to start generating ideas and making up sentences. How can I generate ideas? I always hear students complaining and saying, Mister, I don't have ideas, or I ran out of ideas. Now, to have more ideas, you can use these question words that can help you generate and come up with new ideas. You can ask a question like what. For example, here what I can ask myself the question, what is the weather like in Oman? I can talk about the weather in the 4 seasons. I can talk about what's the weather like in summer, what's the weather like in autumn, what's the weather like in winter, what's the weather like in spring. I can talk about is it rainy, is it snowy, do we have snow in Oman, is it dry, is it hot, is it cool, is it warm, is it dusty, foggy. I can use a lot of words to describe how the weather is like in Oman. Now, next I can talk about where. So what I can give some examples about some places in Oman and about the weather in those places. Remember, they're asking you about the effect of the climate, how people live. So Does the weather change the habits of people in Oman where they live, for example? Does it change their lifestyle? Does it affect their lifestyle, the way they move, the way they eat, the way they travel, all of their daily habits? Now, when can we have that effect? So, for example, most of the time, the biggest effect or the strongest effect that we can have in Oman is in winter, because summer is harsh and boiling hot here. So that's here we answered the question when. Why is that? So for example, I can talk about the way the people dress in Oman. So for example, why do they dress like that? Why do they, for example, why do they choose those colors? Why is the white color widespread in Oman? So maybe, for example, because it helps in reflecting the heat or the sun in summer, so that it can help the people cool down their bodies. So I can think about it like this. Maybe I can answer the question who. So maybe I can give an example about a person that I know, or for example, a fashion designer who was trying to make fashion that will be suitable for the climate in Oman. How? I can answer how. How is he or she trying to do those clothes so that they can reflect the climate here? How much, how many? Also, I can answer those questions if I can, to generate ideas. You can use any of these words. Now, I'm not saying that you should answer all of them, but you can think about some of them so that you can come up with some ideas. In your writing, always try to give supporting examples, at least one. Two will be also good. So give examples about yourself, give examples about your family, talk about your country, talk about someone you know. Now, if you don't have any examples and you don't know anyone, try to make up a person. So make up a person. Imagine that there is a person and his name is something. His name is Ali, his name is Muhammad, anything. And tell us about this person so that this example can support your ideas. Now, also remember, just like in the first type of writing, don't include opinions. Now, here they didn't say give your opinions or what is your opinion. Now, here we don't, with due respect, of course, but we don't care about your opinion. What we care about is the factual information that you are providing, and we want to see how coherent and how strongly connected your writing is. Now, that was everything about the informative writing so far. Remember, there will be some assignments that I will send you in PDF format. Please download the file, print it, and after printing it, complete the task, do the writing. And when you do the writing, you can just take a photo of the writing and send it to me so that I can check it and give you some feedback about it. Thank you very much for listening. I wish you good luck in all of your study, whether it's English or other subjects, and I will be talking to you soon. See you.